Just to prove how live this show is, right now 14 minutes away from 10 o'clock on the East Coast and a cold winter's here in Australia, but right now it's about 1:45, 14 minutes to 1, I should say, to be absolutely precise, in London, where it's a beautiful 21 degrees, and that's exactly where Nigel Farage is right now. So a reward for those that are watching live and not listening on the podcast. Great man, lovely to see you. Another wonderful day, and the sun is shining brightly on truth and freedom because you are winning this fight with the banks. You got the apologies, you got the CEO's scalp. The chairman's going to, I reckon, shortly follow. But now they're saying, come in for a meeting, mate. Come in for a meeting. That seems like they don't really want to deal with the problem. They just want to quickly say, we had the meeting, quick, change subject.
Yes, I mean, it has been quite a win. And to get big CEOs to resign from their jobs was extraordinary. To get an apology from the BBC, well, goodness me, I nearly fainted when I heard that. So it was a remarkable week. Yeah, no, Coutts are now, the bank, you know, part of NatWest are now being reasonable and saying you can have your accounts, it's fine, let's talk about it. But there's a bit of unfinished business here because, you see, I'm not just making this stand, Paul, for myself. I'm also trying to give a voice to the voiceless. I want to know how many other customers from this bank have been removed, have been exited, to use their word, as a result of their opinions. And I want to make sure this never happens to anybody else ever again. And please, folk, don't think this is a problem that is consigned to old England. Debanking is now a major problem in the United States of America, and I wouldn't be surprised if Australia wasn't too far behind too. The ultimate tool of suppression in the 21st century is to take away people's bank accounts. So, you know, I didn't choose this fight, but now I'm engaged with it. I've no intention of stopping.
Now, you're going to be out here with Donald Trump Jr., Senator Alex Antic. What was to be July, the government tried to screw around, but everything's in place. You're back, and you're back in September. Do you think this issue will be one that you're going to get a lot of questions from the floor about, so people can work out, how do I keep an eye on my bank as they might be doing this to me behind the scenes?
Yeah, I've got a lot of advice. I will have a lot of advice when I'm in Australia as to what you can do to protect yourself from going through the kind of crisis that I've been through for the last couple of months. But also, I think that coming from London, coming from the US, as Donald Trump Jr. does, we have got some very serious alarm bells that I think should be ringing in Australia in terms of what is happening to our liberty, what is happening to our freedom, the way the Western world appears to be intent on destroying itself. And as this whole woke corporatism goes through our private companies and our public sector, I think we've got some real warnings for you in Australia. Don't do as we've done.
Well, also, I noticed that you had yet another big exclusive on your show, which is on GB News. You can watch it on the Flash app here in Australia, or obviously YouTube as well. Get the podcasts, all the rest of it. It was a huge exclusive about asylum seekers. You've got a massive problem there at the moment. The attempts to try to turn around the boats clearly failing, despite the fact that the very government that has been failing is now saying, trust us, not the other guys, whatever. But the asylum seekers are now ending up in not just hotels, but luxury hotels. Have a listen to what some people react when they heard this news via Nigel's show today.
That people can come illegally and get the accommodation when you've got people that are homeless, not by fault, that need accommodation as well, and a lot of families that are not in suitable accommodation size either, and it's squashed in flats and stuff, waiting on lists for months and months, or years even.
They are illegally here, and yet they're living in absolute luxury, and I think that's what's frustrating and annoying so many people, is that they're getting everything, and people living in some of these places that we see last year during the damp and mould, you wouldn't have put a dog in it because it was disgusting.
Good point. Tell us more, Nigel.
Yeah, extraordinary. I mean, you know, the tens of thousands that are crossing the English Channel, young men, paying traffickers, and, you know, we put them up in four-star hotels, but now it's luxury apartments. Yes, there's no electricity bill to pay, there's no gas bill to pay, you'll get some pocket money and spending money, you can live in the life of absolute luxury. Oh, and by the way, they're all brand new apartments, so it's brand new furniture and brand new kitchens and bathrooms, and, you know, as you saw from those people in the county of Essex, now, you've got folk out there, blokes that have been injured in Afghanistan with young families that are struggling, and they go to the back of the queue. And this really gets to the heart of a profound sense of what is right and what is wrong. There's nothing wrong with genuine refugees, but it's all about how we take them in. And frankly, what we need is a Tony Abbott, but we haven't got anybody with the guts that Tony had when he solved the problem for you in Australia.
Here. Now, on your show, you do a segment called Talking Pints, where, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with someone, you'll sit down, have a chat. It's a good idea. You're going to invite Greta Thunberg when she's in London to come round for a pint with Nigel Farage?
Well, I think it would have to be some sort of energy drink or something like that. Amazing. Why can't people... And by the way, if she wanted to come, I'd be very happy to sit and talk to her. And it's very important, you know. It's the lefty liberals that want to stop debate. We want to have debate. And we want to have disagreement, but civilised disagreement. And that, I think, is very, very important. This lunacy. We will, even if we were to achieve net zero by 2050, which we will not, but even if we did, we're still going to be using considerable quantities of oil and gas. You can't get around it. And so at last, the government have listened to what I've been preaching for the last 2 years, which is let's drill our own oil and gas rather than importing it from despotic regimes where it has to be transported across the world, and so the global CO2 emissions are even higher. So I'm pleased that Rishi Sunak, on this one at least, has finally got the message. But poor old Greta, living in her own little dream world, somehow thinks that we're all going to be happy not getting on aeroplanes to go for our holidays, not having our motor cars, and sort of returning, not quite, but almost to being cave dwellers. Well, Greta, I've got a message for you, love. We ain't going to do it.
And like all teenage pop stars, one-hit wonder, what have you done for us lately? Not all that much. Thank you so much, Nigel. Do appreciate it.